The shroud of nightfall settled heavily upon the village, and with it came an eerie silence. The laughter and songs that once danced through the evening air were now replaced by the distant murmurs of soldiers and the occasional bark of a dog. The once welcoming homes with their warm hearths and inviting aromas now stood as fortresses, their windows darkened and doors bolted. In a secluded alleyway, Claire and Louis, a fellow resistance fighter, exchanged hushed words. Louis was a few years older than Claire, with sandy hair and a ruggedness from years spent fighting. There had always been an unspoken connection between them, a bond forged in shared purpose and intensified by the looming threat. "We need to move the transmitter," Louis whispered, referencing the secret radio used to communicate with Allied forces. "If Vogel discovers it—" Claire nodded, her face illuminated briefly by the soft glow of a hidden lantern. "We move it to the miller's barn. It's the last place they'd look." As they discussed plans, their hands brushed against each other, lingering for a moment longer than necessary. Louis looked into Claire's eyes, his gaze conveying a depth of feeling that words couldn't capture. They were in the eye of a storm, and in such times, unspoken feelings became magnified. Meanwhile, Major Vogel, seated in the commandeered mayor's office, studied a map spread out before him. His fingers traced routes and landmarks, pausing occasionally as he made notes. A soldier entered, saluting sharply. "Major, we've found nothing yet." Vogel's gaze remained fixed on the map, his voice cold and measured. "Then search harder. The resistance is here. I can feel it." Back in the village square, the local tavern, which had always been a hub of activity, was now a guarded fortress. Yet in its cellar, Monsieur Dubois, the elderly historian, hosted a covert gathering. Claire, Louis, and several other trusted villagers huddled, discussing plans and sharing intelligence. "The patrols are heaviest near the woods," Luke whispered, his eyes scanning a rudimentary map. Just then, the cellar door creaked, causing every heart to skip a beat. A familiar face peeked through, Henri, the postman, clutching another envelope. "From the north," he said, his voice trembling. Claire swiftly opened the message. Her face, usually a mask of determination, showed a hint of worry. "They're coming. Reinforcements. Vogel has requested more troops." The gravity of the situation settled heavily upon the group. The stakes had just been raised. As dawn approached, Claire found herself on the rooftop of her home, the village spread out below her, bathed in the soft glow of the moon. The weight of leadership pressed on her shoulders. But as the first light of dawn began to pierce the horizon, so too did her resolve strengthen. "We will endure," she whispered to the wind, hoping that her voice, however faint, would carry hope to every corner of her beloved village.